Okay, we're going to go back to yesterday's lesson because I left out an important step to tell you about on some of these problems. So I'm going to do an example. It looks like there's only one on this particular worksheet for some reason, but we're going to work it. Okay. Well, we'll probably work two on that page. Okay, this is number 8. We have 6/5 times t equals 1/3. Now, what we found out yesterday is anytime that we're going to solve an equation, the first two steps are always the same. Let's divide this. It helps your brain keep the two sides, the two balanced sides of the equation. It helps your brain to see the separate sides. The second step was always to circle the variable because that's where we want to focus our attention. We want, in the end, to have this variable all by itself down here and the equal sign and some value over here. So we're going to focus on this side because this is where the variable is. Now, yesterday we said if there is a multiply, and in this case, when things are crammed together with no sign in here, that's an automatic invisible times, okay? It's an understood multiply. So we found out yesterday that if you're multiplying something and you want to get rid of this 6/5, then we should do the opposite. We should divide, right? It's multiplied, so we should divide, and you can divide by 6/5 and divide by 6/5. And if you're using a calculator, that works. But the easier way, it's kind of a mess to divide by fractions. So we found out that instead of dividing by fractions, it's easier to get rid of it by multiplying by its reciprocal. So when you have a fraction, instead of trying to divide by it, let's multiply by that fraction, the reciprocal of that fraction. So we're going to multiply this side by 5/6. And whatever we do to this side has to balance out over here. So we're going to multiply this by 5/6. Now we have what we called our bananas. Remember, if we put banana on one side, it's not balanced. So we have to put the banana on the other side, right, at the grocery store. This is what we talked about yesterday. Well, in this case, we put a banana on this side, which made the equation be out of balance. So we had to do the same thing to the other side to balance it back out. Everything in mathematics, if you choose to do something to your equation, you're going to have to do something else to counteract it. That's always going to happen in math. Okay, you've got to keep things balanced. So in this case, we found out that our 5s would cancel out. And if you don't remember this cross-canceling, go back to your fraction section and practice some more on multiplying fractions. The 6 on top and the 6 on the bottom will divide by 6. So that leaves 1t, because 1 times 1 is 1, 1 times 1 is 1, 1/1 is 1 equals, and over here, we're going to multiply across the top, which is 6, and multiply across the bottom, which is 15. And the last thing we want to look at, we want the t to be by itself. In this case, there's a 1 in front, but that's another understood invisible, okay? There is an invisible 1 hanging out always, lots of places. So a 1t is exactly the same as just a t. Now, we found out yesterday that if it's a negative 1t, that's different. We have to get rid of the negative 1. But if it's a plain old 1, it's invisible, we don't write it, okay? And so we found out that t equals 6/15. Do you guys see? So if you want, in review, if you want to get rid of a fraction, which we did, then instead of trying to divide by another fraction, which makes it a compound fraction, and it can be done. Easier is to flip and multiply. So we flip the fraction, multiply, and multiply by exactly the same thing on the other side. Are we good? Okay. There's another one on there that deals with fractions, and we need to look at that because it's a little bit different. Be sure and not get mixed up. It is number 5 on that same page. Are there any questions here, Sherry or Isabel?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you okay, Sherry? Sherry must be getting kids out the door. Okay, number 5. Looks scary. Don't worry about it. R over, and the only reason there are parentheses here is just for clarification. You don't have to have parentheses here. It's just easier to look at. Equals 6/5. How interesting. Another 6/5. Just coincidence. All right, our first 2 steps. Line down through the equal sign, circle your variable, which means we're going to focus on this side of the equation. Okay, now we need to look and see, in order to get this by itself, we need to get rid of this right here, which looks very scary. But we remember that this line means divide, okay? So right now there is a divide by this fraction. How do I get rid of a divide? I multiply, right? Okay, so I'm going to multiply this side times 7/9, negative 7/9, and I'm going to multiply this side. Remember that if it's crammed together, it means multiply, so I don't have to write the multiply sign. We can put that over 1, remember? Here's a fraction times a fraction, and look at this. Negative 7/9 on top, negative 7/9 on the bottom, they can cancel because they are exactly the same. Now you have 1 times r, which is r. 1 times 1 over 1, we don't have to write the over 1. So now we have a plain r equals, and then just multiply the fraction. Negative 42 over 45. And we know that this will simplify. So if you wanted to do your cross canceling up here, you can either simplify this by dividing, probably by 3, I think. But look up here. We have a 6 and a 9 that will divide by 3. So if I use cross canceling and divide that by 3, I'll get a 2, and divide that by 3, I'll get a 3. So now I have a negative 14. I'll multiply these 2 together over 15. And that would be the answer to R. Okay? Now fractions, I know you go,
Yeah.
okay? You'll see some more and I will remind you when you ask me, but this is what we do. If it's divided by a fraction, let's just multiply by the fraction, not the reciprocal. But if it's multiplied by a fraction, we don't like to divide by a fraction. Y'all see, it's going to take just doing it on your own. Okay, but you kind of understand what I'm telling you? Okay. Okay, and another thing from yesterday, I had this question come up.
So this work is what? What fraction?
Say it again.
Is this work fraction?
The name of this is just solving one-step equations.
Oh.
It just happens to have fractions in it. And that's why I stopped and did a section on fractions before we started this.
Hey, Miss Deborah,
Yes.
before you leave that sheet you were just working on, will you
Yes.
do number 4?
Number 4. Is that the one that's 8.8?
Yes.
Okay. This is number 4 on this page. 8.8 V equals -5.28. And I'm going to take a second. I keep forgetting to give everybody calculators. Anybody need calculators? Because we'll need it on this one.
I figured that one out.
You did?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Same rules apply. Line down through the equal sign, circle the variable. So we're going to focus on this side. The variable, we want it by itself, so I have to get rid of this right here. And how is it connected to the V? It's not a plus or a minus, it's crammed together, so it has to be a multiply. And the way that I get rid of a multiply is to divide. So I'm going to divide by what I want to get rid of. And it's out of balance now until I come over here and do the same thing. Now, 8.8 divided by itself is always going to be 1. So I have 1 V left over, and we don't write the 1. And I simply use my calculator. When I do decimals, I always check to make sure. So we've got -5.28 divided by, because the fraction line means divide, 8.8.
You get 0.6.
We have -0.6. Does that answer your question, Sherry?
Yes, I know what I did wrong. I was subtracting the 8.8.
Oh, be very careful. Of course, I don't need to tell you that, right? Okay, and there was one small thing yesterday that one of my new students asked, and I thought it was very valid because of the way the answers are written in the back. Now, I can't remember the problem. It was just one of the easy ones, but at the bottom, it came out to be W equals 4, okay? This is the answer that she got, okay?
Yeah.
On the back, the answer says W equals 4, and she was confused about why.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I don't know why they did that on the back, but it does not matter which side the variable's on as long as it's by itself. So this and this is the same answer. I'm not sure why they did that.
Yeah, I didn't try to change it. I was like, it's the same. Just flip it.
Silliness, yeah. As long as the W's by itself, the W's by itself, and the value it's equal to is 4, then it's fine. Either side, the variable can be on either side. Okay, so that should clear up that with these worksheets.
I have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on pack,
Pardon?
I think it's pack 3, page 1. I got all of them right until I got down to number 8. I mean, I worked it several times and I kept on getting it wrong.
Okay, we're going to start with those today, but I will definitely focus on that one after I
Okay.
kind of show everybody how this works, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so number 8 on packet 3, and that's what we're going to start on now. If there aren't any questions about the packet 2 from yesterday, the one-step equations, you think we're okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we dealt with yesterday were equations that it only took one step to get the answer. Okay, we either had a plus or minus problem, or we had a multiply divide problem, okay? But today, what we're going to do, and it's nothing new, we're only going to take those and work them together, put them together in one equation like this. Let's do number 5. No, I don't want to do that one yet. I'm going to do number 6 on the first page of the 2-step equations. Packet 3, page 1, number 6. 43, 6v plus 1. Okay. Now in this case, the rules are still the same. Line down through the equal sign, circle the variable. Okay. Now, there are 2 ways to think about this. You're going to have to get rid of the 6 and get rid of the plus 1. So that tells you we're getting rid of 2 different things. You're going to do them one at a time. So that means we're going to have 2 steps this time. You're not going to get the answer with just the first step. Now, one thing that you have to be aware of here is the order that you get rid of these things is very, very important. So there's 2 ways you can think about it. Getting rid of whatever in here is backwards from PEMDAS. So when multiply came before add in the order of operations, now it's backwards, which means you have to get rid of the plus or minus first before the multiply and divide. Always. It's very important. It will change everything and it'll make it more difficult for you. So get rid of the plus and minus first, then the multiply and divide. Now have become a little bit famous for stupid stories, but I've found out with my students over the years, the 40 plus years I've been teaching, is that the more stupid the story I tell, the more you guys remember it. So if you have a hard time remembering which one to get rid of first, then what I tell students is, imagine if this is V's house, okay? V is a teenager, and this is the house he lives in over here. And his parents left for the weekend, told him not to have a party. So V had a party, okay? And he invited over a bunch of friends. He invited over 6. He invited over 1. And there were probably some other ones. But in this part of the story, he got a phone call from his parents. The trip was canceled. They're 30 minutes away from home. So things have to be cleaned up. Everybody has to leave before the parents get home. Now, not that this is the right thing to do, but this happens.
Yes, it does.
So B is in a panic and he says, you guys got to help me. We've got to get everybody out of here. Well, if you notice how close 6 is to V, very close, which means 6 is the best friend. These are best friends. And the best friend always sticks around to help till the end, right? So they've got to kick this guy out. They're going to work at cleaning up and they're going to get rid of all the other people. But this is the best friend, okay? So that means the straggler over here has to go first. So if you want to remember the stupid story, feel free, okay? So that means we've got to get rid of the 1 first. Now it's a plus 1. How are we going to get rid of that?
Subtract it.
Subtract 1. So we're going to subtract 1 and subtract 1. And we're going to add straight down and find out what our new equation is. When we found out yesterday that if the numbers are the same and the signs are opposite, those are additive inverses, which equals 0, and that disappears. Now we're going to add straight down. We have a 6V left. The equals goes on the line. 43 plus a negative 1 is the same as 43 minus 1, which is 42. But just like I told you yesterday, you need to look and examine the equation you have left and see if the V is by itself. In this case, it is not, which means I have to start all over and do it again. So I circled the V again. That tells me I'm going to focus on this side, and I've got to get the best friend can't even be there now. He's the very last one. They're done. Okay, so he's the last person there. Now he has to go. Okay, right now we have to look and see how the 6 is connected to the V. Multiply because it's crammed together. How do you undo a multiply? Divide it by 6 and do exactly the same thing over here. Don't be tricked and try to divide by 42. This number has to be exactly the same, okay? So there's a number divided by itself will always be 1. That leaves us with a 1V, we don't write the 1, equals 42 divided by 6 is 7. Notice that the variables on this side, it doesn't matter. The answer on the back probably says V equals 7. I don't know if it does, but do y'all see? There's nothing different with what you do. You're just doing more of it. These are called two-step equations because you have to get rid of more than one thing to get the variable by itself. Any questions on this one? Okay, there are some different ones. And I promise I'll get to yours, Sherry, but I want to look at number 5. Number 5, if I don't go over it, sometimes causes a great deal of confusion. So let's just hit it head on. Okay, number 5 says, we're on the same page, page 1. It says 39 minus 9u equals 4u. Now I drew the line down through the equal sign, but when I go to circle the variable, there's more than one variable. So that's the very first thing I have to take care of. It's kind of like, I don't know, I personify variables sometimes and like they're people. I don't know. It's just who I am. But it's like a family of views and they're in too many yards. Okay. I need to get them all so they're in the same yard. Okay. I don't want the U's all spread out. So the first thing I'm going to do before I even circle a variable is say, there's the U's yard because that's all that's over here. So let's get this guy and move him over, okay? And the only way that we can move him over is to get rid of him off of this side. So in this case, I'm not plussing just a 9. I want to get rid of the whole thing. I want him to go away, okay? And if I add the 9u to get him out of this yard, remember that I have to do the same thing to both sides. It has to be a plus 9u, so a plus 9u. Now, let's see what we have left. Remember that this is exactly the same. The signs are different, so it's an additive inverse. Now I have only a 39 left over here. And I have 4 u's plus 9 more u's gives me 13 u's. Now I have accomplished what I wanted to. I have the u only in one place. Now I can circle it because it's only in one spot. Which tells me I'm not finished yet because the u isn't by itself, right? So what do I need to get rid of? 13. Get rid of the 13. How is it hooked? Multiply. So I have to divide. So I'm going to divide by a 13. Have to do the same thing on both sides. A number divided by itself is always 1. So I'm left with 1u, we don't write the 1. And then I use my calculator to take 39 divided by 13, and I get 3. So be careful if you have u's on separate sides of the equal sign, that's something you need to deal with first off before you start to solve. You need to gather up all the u's and get them on one side. Okay? Okay. And then always examine what you have and see if you need to do another step to get the u by itself. Questions on that one? Anybody?
No,
Okay. Remote?
no, I don't have any.
Okay. Haven't forgot you, Sherry.
I know.
Okay. Let me see if there's another one leading up to the one that you asked about.
Okay.
Yes, one more. Which one? That's the one she's asking about. So I'm going to do number 3. It's a tiny bit different than 8. Let's do number 3, and then number 8 is next. Number 3 says s minus 4 over 3 equals 2. Again, draw the line down through the equal sign. There's only one variable, right? Yeah. So we can circle that. We don't have to worry about getting them together. Okay, so now it looks like I have 2 steps. And this is going to totally contradict what I just said in the last one. Because I said you have to take care of the plus or minus first, right? And then the multiply and divide. Except this is a set. Even though it doesn't have a parentheses, if it's something in a fraction, either on the top or the bottom, it may not have parentheses, but it is a set, which means it's parentheses. And if you go backwards on the PEMDAS, that means you have to do the divide or multiply before the parentheses. Sorry. Okay, little confusing, but we're going to get rid of this. Okay. And when I look at it, I say, I don't like the fractions. Let's get rid of the fractions first. That's just what I say, you know, because I talk to myself. Okay, so I want to get rid of the 3. Right now it's divided by 3. So I need to multiply by 3. Y'all see, it's divided by 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3. I multiply by 3 over here. The only reason I put this over 1 is because I'm dealing with a fraction. I want to make it a fraction. That's all. You can see that the top and the bottom will divide by the same thing. They'll divide by 3. So now all I have left on this side is s minus 4. Since it's the only thing, I don't have to have parentheses anymore. You can. Equals 6. And then I examine the equation that I have left. And I say, s isn't by itself. I need to get rid of this straggler right here. Minus 4. How do I get rid of it?
Add a 4.
Add a 4. And I have to balance the equation always. This additive inverse. And so I have an s left equals 10. Now, let me tell you, if you worked through something like this and you say, I don't know for sure, you know, you don't have the answers, and you say, 10, that doesn't make sense. Well, let's just check it. If you need to, check it. This isn't a have to, but if you will take your 10 that you got and plug it into your original equation right here, then we will have 10 minus 4 over 3 equals 2. Do y'all see where I plugged in the 10? So 10 minus 4 is 6 over 3 equals 2. What is 6 divided by 3? 2 equals 2. It checks out. Okay? 10 was the correct answer because I could plug it into the original problem and get an equality. Okay? So if you need to check, feel free to do so. Okay, Sherry, your turn. Number 8.
Yes, it's a doozy because I worked it several times and I'm like, I give up.
Yes, and the reason for this one, the reason I waited is because this one not only has fractions in it, but it has the C in 2 different places. So we have to know what to do with this C.
Well, I was thinking that you multiply that C to get rid of it, but I don't know what I thought I had the steps right, but it still come up according to the back of the answer key wrong.
It's kind of cool because you are thinking correctly.
Yeah, because I said, well, to get rid of that C down there, just
This one?
yes.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly what we're going to do. Okay? So in this case, I get ready to circle my variable and I see, I've got to do something before I can circle my variable. So we've got to get rid of one of the C's. And since I don't like fractions, oh, I really love fractions, but you know, I need to get rid of the fraction. That's what makes it look scary. Okay? So let's get rid of this C and not worry about anything else. Let's try to get rid of this. And so how is this connected to the rest of the problem? It's divided by C, so what do we need to do?
Multiply.
Times it. Okay, we need to multiply by C, and I put it over 1 because we're dealing with a fraction. And if I multiply by C on that side, I have to multiply by C on this side. Now let's see what we ended up with. Over here, 9 times C, we know that we can write that crammed together because it means times. So the way you'll see it is 9C. They switch it around, and it's okay. On this side, we can see that we have the letter C up here and the variable C down here. They will both divide by C, which leaves us with 8C plus 15. Okay, we're getting ready to circle the variable. Well, dang it.
So we got 2 C's.
There's still 2 C's. So what do I need to do now?
Take away C from 9, so you'll minus 9C,
If I do,
or no?
you're thinking okay. You're thinking okay, but we probably need to go the other way
Yeah.
because I want all the C's on a side by themselves. Okay. Now, this is something that most students do, Rachel, so I'm glad you said that. She said I could take away 9C from this side. That would put it over here, but that would still put a C with a number, and this will be 0. Now, what you said is not wrong. It is not wrong. But if you move it over here, that will just cause you to do another step. So what I would suggest is take this C away from, get it out of there, move it over with the other C that's over here. So instead of subtracting 9C, which was not wrong, it just adds more work. we're going to subtract the 8C that's over here, that's messing up this side, and put him over here. Y'all see? So what you said was not wrong, okay? So now I have 8 C's and I took away 8 C's, so I don't have anything left here. I have 9 C's and I took away 8 of them, so I have 1 C left. I don't write the 1. And on this side, I have a 15. Now you examine the equation that you have left and decide if you have to do anything else. Do you need to do anything else? No, because the C is by itself. So believe it or not, we didn't circle the C at all in this one. Okay, which is fine. C equals 15. Sherry?
Yes, I see what I did. I started with that 15 first. And I took it, I subtracted that 15. I wound up, my final answer wound up to be like -6/8. I'm like, so yes, I see what I did. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just something you have to get used to and decide how you're going to think about it. Okay? Are you going to people and get rid of them from the party? Or are you going to just memorize steps? Whatever works for you. Everybody learns and works differently. Okay, let me check the other worksheets. And then I don't have anything new to teach you. All you need to do is practice, practice, practice. Yes, I heard somebody.
Well, they still looking a little scary, Miss Deborah. I did all these worksheets except for well, the page that you said skip, and then the packet 3, page 2. All of them look kind of scary, so I took them away.
But because of our explanation today, we took care of these.
Okay.
I'll work 1 or 2 on this page if you would like.
Yes, if you don't mind.
I'll work 5 and 6 on page 2.
Okay.
5 and 6 on page 2. 5 says C over 2 minus 3 equals 1. Line down through the equal sign. Okay, and I go to circle the variable, and there's only 1, so I can circle it. Okay, now in this case, I'm thinking that you would want to get rid of the 2 first because it's a fraction thing, right? This is 2-step equations, whole numbers. 2-step equations, whole numbers, and then it says sheet 3. This is where we are, y'all. And I'm doing number 5.
Okay.
Are you there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now what you have to do for a while, guys, is really stop and think and talk to yourself. Remember that getting rid of things, you're going to have to do it backwards from PEMDAS. Okay? So I've got a divide that I have to get rid of, and I've got a minus that I have to get rid of. If I go backwards from the PEMDAS, which one do I need to get rid of first?
No.
The what?
The minus.
The minus, that is correct. Also, you can think of the 2 as a best friend. Here's the straggler. Okay? Either way, whichever way you want to think about it. So I have to get rid of the straggler. This is minus 3. What am I going to do?
Add 3.
Bring it down how?
Add.
Add 3, and I've got to balance. So, of course, this is additive inverse, same number, opposite signs. So now I have C divided by 2 equals 4. I'm going to focus on this side because this is where the variable is. I want the variable by itself. What do I need to get rid of?
The 2.
And it is, it's divided by 2. So I'm going to have to multiply by 2. So I have to do it over here. These cancel, which leaves me 1C equals 8. Are we good? This won't stick until you start to do it on your own. And believe it or not, until you make some mistakes. When you start to make mistakes, that's when you start to learn. Okay? It's practice, practice, practice. I told you I'd do number 6.
It's only going to take 42 times, Miss Deborah.
Yes, yes, you remember what I said. I told them a long time ago that in my teacher education block, they said in order to get a concept across to my students, I need to teach it 42 times. So I'm not at 42 yet, Sherry, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So hang in there, guys. Okay, number 6. U minus 6 over 8. All right. Okay. Line down through the equal sign. We only have one variable. You're very tempted to add 6, right?
Nope.
But this is part of a fraction, which means it's a set. Okay? It's a set, which means it's parentheses. When you do the PEMDAS backwards, in parentheses, then it will be last, right? So let's get rid of the 8. How am I going to get rid of the 8?
Multiply.
It's divided by, so I have to multiply it. If I multiply this side, I have to multiply this side. Cancel, cancel. I have U minus 6. Since it's not part of a fraction anymore, I don't have to worry about parentheses. Equals
0.
Good, good. A lot of people would say 8. I was going to see if I could catch you. All right. And we look at our equation and we're not finished. What do I need to do now?
Add 6.
Add 6. So now I have U equals 6. Y'all see? 2-step equations is what you're going to be doing today. All I want you to worry about is page 1 and 2. You're welcome to look at 3 and 4. And if you are comfortable, go ahead and do pages 3 and 4. But I will talk about 3 and 4 tomorrow. So the first 2 pages in packet 3 are what I'd like for you to finish before tomorrow, so that you can ask me any questions and we can clear those up. Y'all have any questions?
No,
Isabel?
no, I'm okay.
Okay. Sherry?
I'm good.
Not for the second, right?
Well, yeah, I'm okay for right now.
You do what?
I said I'm fine for right now.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Well, what I'm going to do is stop this recording and let you guys go practice if you don't have anything else.
No,
All right. Love y'all.
Love you too.
love you too, Miss
Oh,
Deborah.
let you know, we had another one pass from this class. She passed her
Yay.
GED yesterday. Cool, huh?
Who was it?
Vanessa.
Oh, okay.
Vanessa, passed, and she's moved on to science now.
I wish I was with her.
We will definitely miss her, but I'm so excited for her.
Yes.
Okay, see
Okay.
y'all later.
All righty.
Okay.